NRL finals are at its precipice as News Limited lick their chops once again, looking at the broadcasting and advertising money they get once again this year. The final two contestants have emerged. Before that, we must honour those that fell in the great quest for Proven and Summoned. The Raiders at halftime of this game realised that the only tactics John Morris knows are playing CSGO in his office, and they took full advantage. This team needs to blow it up, but they can't. They're locked into multiple long-term contracts. Also, thanks for proving me right, Sharks. I could go on about how the Sharks were what I thought they were, but that's too consistent for this team. It's best to say nothing for the latter half of it. Kinda like their performance against the Raiders. They did nothing in the second half. For a young team like the Knights, they played pretty well against the Souths, putting at least some semblance of a fight against them. Losing Ponga to a shoulder injury didn't help, but no real shame for them right now. They are getting Frizzell next season, so I expect big things from them. Also, Bradman Best looks to be progressing very nicely. Good shit. You know, I would normally mock the Eels for once again losing in the second round, but they were undermanned with Sevo, Ferguson and Jennings all ruled out due to injury and suspension respectively. What they were lacking in this game was offensive firepower that normally would have been provided by the three men in question. Gutherson did what he could, but it wasn't meant to be. South's big name attack did the rest. The question is now, do they go for a big name in free agency like Josh Adokar, or do they have enough to run it back? Time will have to tell with Parramatta. I honestly can't be shocked as a fan of this team as the media is. The main problem for the Tricolours this year was in team defense. It got torched by Cleary in week 1 as they tried to play catch up in the second half but couldn't do it. It happened again against the Raiders. Literally the exact same scenario. An abysmal first half with the defense being torched by Canberra's quick attack. The second half spent playing catch up, coming painfully close only to be stopped by... 15 other teams are now dancing on their grave as their evil has been defeated. Souths fans spent the night with Vaseline and Kleenex tissues. Congratulations! Your team still can't make it past the third round of the finals. I saw this result coming from a mile away. The South's main problems in this game were laid full bare. They couldn't lay the body against Penrith's quick offense due to the inexperience in the front row and Tom Burgess having a shit game. They weren't able to create many great chances, and the ones they did get, the Panthers snuffed out or weren't capitalised on due to silly errors. The 40-20 call being overturned was the correct call as Reynolds had his foot on the line. Situational awareness is key in these moments late in postseason games, and he just didn't have it there. 3 straight years losing in the preliminary final. Next year we'll have zero excuses, however. With a healthy Latrell Mitchell and Jai Arrow coming in to lead the front row, Souths will have nothing and nobody to blame but themselves if they fail next season. There's nothing to really mock here. They were just outplayed to the maximum extent. Everything the Raiders tried on defense was chewed up and spit out by the purple wall of Melbourne. Try to go out wide for Kotrick or Rapana? Adokar was ready for all of it. Try to go up the middle and through the line? An extra man would be waiting to close each and every gap. When they were in open space, the backline speed would catch up with the ball carrier. This offseason will be one of great decisions for the Raiders front office. Do they throw at everything at quality free agents to replace Kotrick and Bateman? Or do they rely on their youth like George Williams and Joseph Tarpany to take the mantle? A postseason full of drama and tension has reached its precipice. 2 teams have come out of the woodwork to become bronzed gods. For 4 to 5 months anyway. Let's see contestant number 1. Oh boy, what a shocker. Melbourne Storm have reached the grand final for the 4th time in 5 years. Let me put on my stunned face. Wow. The Storm always manage to weave themselves back when everyone says they're dead. At the top of the pile, as always, the last remaining member of the Big Three, the most capped player in NRL history, Cameron Smith. We aren't merely witnessing a man, we are seeing an artist work his craft. He hasn't taken a backward step this season. He also has his literal wingmen on either side of him. On the left lies Josh Adokar, one of the best try scorers in the game. His speed and attack has left many defenses wondering how to cover him. The one part of his game which is criminally underrated is his defense. He is elite there as well, completely shutting down potent right side attacks in the Eels and Raiders. Whoever wins the Adokar sweepstakes this offseason will be very, very lucky. On Smith's right is Suliasi Vunivalu, who has been equally as good, if not better than Adokar this season. His game attributes remind me of a certain now retired Randy Moss, one of the best wide receivers in NFL history. Both have God-given physical attributes, both have an uncanny ability to leap for the ball and catch it when it seemed lost, both have blinding speed and athleticism, and both have an extra gear that we rarely ever see them hit. Next to Smith in the front line is Cameron Munster, who has had a down year due to injury, but you still can't take him lightly. But what has really brought Melbourne here? The cast of characters around them. Ryan Pappenhausen, Brandon Smith, the Bromwich brothers, Dale Finucane, all guys who have contributed so much to this lineup. Also players who have been plucked from obscurity like Bremco Lee and Jerome Hughes, who looks to be their halfback of the future. It's a team who has made advantageous transaction after advantageous transaction which has paid dividends for them. Led by a Craig Bellamy who is making his case as one of the best coaches of the modern era. If they end up winning it all, it will be horrid, but at least I'll understand why it happened. They are 80 minutes away from making 15 other teams the closest thing to property without violating the Slavery Abolition Act. The only thing that could stop them? The Panthers have made the grand final, exactly as I had foreseen at the start of the season. I've been eating shit ever since then due to that clangor of a prediction. This Panthers team is so interesting that you can make 5 books plus a movie series and turn the whole thing into a massive franchise. Nathan Cleary has led this team, and while he had some growing pains to do 2 years ago, I'm glad to see him and his father thrive. Oh yeah, Ivan Cleary. He has been on this grand final stage before, leading an underdog 2011 New Zealand Warriors team to the brink of a premiership. Around the father-son duo is a cast of characters old and new. James Tarmo and Josh Mansour, both turning back the clock for productive seasons. Dean Farrar hasn't been his 2014 form, but has been a decent stopgap for them off the bench. It's enough to aid the main prize, the elite youth on the team. I was watching the Souths Panthers preliminary final, and Gus Gould mentioned during the broadcast that 7 of the Panthers roster all played on the under-20s Holden Cup team in 2015. 7! That speaks volumes as to how well this rebuild has gone for the Mountain Men. Guys like Jerome Luai, Isaiah Yao, Liam Martin, James Fisher-Harris, Tyrone May, Dylan Edwards, and Moses Leota have all been competing for New South Wales Blues jerseys. That's not even mentioning the phenom that is Charlie Staines, who is only 20 and looks like a potential perennial State of Origin contender. In the 2 games he's played this season, he has put up 6 tries, 7 line breaks, and 8 tackle breaks. That eye-watering stat line can only improve once he gets back from injury. It's enough to bring them back to their first grand final in over 17 years, where they took down a Roosters team featuring their old captain in Brad Fittler. An interesting grand final indeed. Are we fucked with the old dynastic arrogance that we have felt for over a decade? Or the underdogs with chips on their shoulders, carrying the hopes and dreams of a once successful franchise, a largely neglected area of Sydney, and 14 other fan bases? Who will come out on top? I'll make no bones about it. These baby Panthers have a massive challenge ahead as underdogs, with most gambling outlets having Penrith as massive outsiders for a win, estimated at around $2.13 to $2.17. Both teams have looked pretty equal in their playstyle. I think this game will come down to intangibles like experience, which oozes out of the Storm like maple syrup. That's why they'll win by at least 12. Probably got my prediction wrong there.